Hi there, possibility seekers. Welcome to the Art of the Possible podcast. This episode features myself having a great chat with Sam Mutimer. Sam interviews me. We go back a long way, right back about 10 years ago, I think we first met. And Sam is a guru in social media marketing, and everything about online marketing. We're talking about how we met, about business growth, about startups, about small business, about a whole bunch of subjects. Sam's going to run the interview. I'm going to be on the other end, and we're going to have a great chat. Enjoy.
Let's roll. Hi guys, here we are with another edition of Sit with Sam, with my very first mentor ever, who's really helped me in business to where I am today, 11 years on, Rob Hartnett, the CEO of the Hartnett Group. Welcome. Oh, you're the first one to give me a double high five there.
Absolutely, why not?
The energy of this man,
Yeah,
honestly, if you were here right now.
happen.
Rob, I met Rob back in 2008 at not the event that you mentioned a little bit earlier, but a small business festival.
That's right.
He just landed in from London the day before, didn't really know who was speaking on the panel, found out who was speaking on the panel, and thank goodness he was, because it was my first opportunity to open my mind up to business and small business and how I could grow a business. And I'd watched a few of the other dudes that had gone up there and they'd added value on some level, but when you stood up, I was like, I need to find a coffee with this man. I'm going to hunt him down. And as he finished, there was a massive applaud and everyone was running over to him and I was like banging him out the way to get in the line. I went, Rob, come for a coffee with me. And what did you say?
We met again, is what I said, because in fact how we originally met was I was actually just walking around the audience feeling the vibe of the tribe.
Oh, and, that's right.
Because you didn't know me from Barra Slab, so I was actually chatting to you and Jane, I think.
Jane,
and we were chatting about, I was just trying to get a feel of what you wanted to hear on stage and what you wanted to hear and see, why you were there, what sort of, what the audience was about. Because literally I had flown in, so I didn't actually know a lot about that particular session. So I was trying to get a vibe of what people wanted. So then you came up towards the end. So there we go. Yeah, we met and we had a coffee.
We had a coffee, and from there, Rob introduced me to Twitter. Yeah. You actually introduced me to Twitter. I didn't stumble upon it.
I can't believe I can claim that.
No, you did. You did. Thank you.
That's going up in the post today.
No, honestly, if you have not, I don't think I would actually be in social media right now. And when you introduced me to Twitter, I got really curious about it in terms of the psychology of people, why people are on there and what they were sharing. And then I kind of pulled you into mentoring.
You took it to like the whole tweet up thing, didn't you? You put groups together and you were unbelievable in terms of doing the offline-online connection, which I don't think anyone had done, in at least in Melbourne anyway, but you certainly took that to the next level.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And since then, social media has grown, both our brands have grown, and hence why we would love to have a chat with you today. We've put it out there as a bit of a pre-buzz, and we've had some audience members send some questions. We'll certainly ask you those.
Great.
But yeah, I'm really curious to understand. You've been in corporate for a long time, and now you've been running your business. What, 11 years?
Yeah, about 15 years actually. 15.
Did my research.
All up now. Yeah, close to that. About 15 years. Yeah.
So, obviously, moving from a really stable job in corporate to launching into running your own business.
That's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? A stable job in corporate these days. But I get your point. But and I think that's kind of one of the reasons I moved. But I think stable jobs in corporate are really interesting term these days. But,
okay. I retract that. Moving from a job in corporate to opening your own business, I would imagine there would have been a little bit of a fear and risk there. What did you tell yourself? What did you do to ensure that you took that leap at the right time to ensure that now 15 years on you've got a really successful business?
Well, it was my second time, so I didn't actually get it right the first time.
Okay.
And I think that's so I tried that about 5 years earlier, and it was wrong timing, kind of right idea. Hadn't really thought it through enough. There were a number of things didn't go right for it. It's almost like this is not working out. Mm-hmm. So I actually went back to corporate world. But when you go back to corporate world after you tried, you never go back the same. Mm-hmm. So you go back with I'm going back, but I'm getting out again. So I went back with a whole mantra around learning what didn't I have, what did I need. So I was very specific on the corporate jobs I took, which were unbelievably amazing, to be honest, and they added so much to me. But so it didn't work the first time. Went back at it again, and then the second time was much more sustainable.
Okay. And did you build mentors? I mean, as I say, you were my first and have been integral in terms of where I am. Yeah. So what did you look for in a mentor the second time around?
Well, I've always been around mentors and coaches through my racing and kind of athletic stuff I've done. So it's always been very natural to me to find someone who's better than you are, get coached by someone who's better, find a mentor. And there's a difference between mentor and coaches, as you know, but just finding those people. So you've got to look for specifically, have they done it beforehand? Mm-hmm. And one of the big things I talk about with mentors or coaches if anyone you go up to says, yep, I'll coach you, it's like, really? You need to apply. I want the mentors and coaches to go, you tell me why I should coach you or mentor you. I need, you apply for it. I mean, my last cycling coach, he didn't accept me. I had to go riding with him and pass the test when I was eligible, because he had and he still does, a really tight group of great like-minded people. Would I fit that culture? Would I bring them down, add to it, or not add to it? So I think they're the kind of coaches and mentors, the ones you have to apply to.
Yeah, great. And you mentioned before, you just said, there's a difference between a coach and a mentor. But for the people that don't know, could you just elaborate more around what is the difference? And does someone need to look to go after a coach when they're in their business, the first, second, third year, or a mentor, or both? Like, what is?
Or both. So apart from the spelling, one difference.
Right.
Main difference is a coach is mainly there to help you with skill, to get better at something.
Okay.
A mentor is really helping you as a person. So a mentor is more genuinely interested in your personal growth and how you're going to get there, and they will help you with that and give you guidance. Whereas the coach tends to be more specific on a skill you need, be it marketing skills, leadership skills, or a specific type of skill.
Got it. So are you a mentor and coach?
I do both, yeah. So I do both, and obviously they can blend. A coaching relationship can develop into a mentor relationship as well. Normally not the other way around, but a coaching one can go that kind of next level if both parties want to do that. It has to be obviously transparency and trust to do that. But the mentor one tends to be you're looking for someone who's really experienced and guidance on a circumstances, not so much on a skill to get better, but what would you do in this circumstance, or have you faced this beforehand?
Yeah,
it's more experiential.
Good to know. So it brings me into a question from the audience. There's none here today, but we had some earlier. One of them was around leadership, and it was, I can't remember the dude's name, that's really bad, but we'll find out who it was and put the name underneath to acknowledge him. What do you tell yourself, or what are some of the things that you do if you're in a leadership position, but you've got people within the group that are a lot smarter than you? What are some of the ways that, I suppose, you can overcome this to ensure that he's getting the maximising the most out of there, but also himself at the same time? Yeah.
So one, congratulate yourself on hiring people better than you.
Okay.
Right? That's the first thing. Celebrate that. High five yourself, because most leaders hire people dumber than them so they can appear to be more superior and show how awesome they are. Right? So one, hire great people. That's the first thing.
You guys.
When you've got people who are smarter than you are, that's great. You hire great people. The most important thing is, why did you hire them? Then, so understand that, and then enable them, empower them, and get out of the frickin' way and let them do what they've got to do, and just check in. So don't let them loose and be on their own, because they can get lonely as well. But check in to make sure they're okay, they're performing well, they've got what they need.
Yeah.
Some of the best leaders I work with are leaders that are not a subject matter expert in what they're leading. So I'll give you an example. So I've got a sales leader I work with now who's not from a sales background. He's an operations person. And the awesome part about that is that he knows he's not brilliant at sales. So all he does is hire unbelievably good professional salespeople and say, what can I take off your plate today?
Yeah, wow.
As a leader, what can I do for you that allows you to get on doing what you got to do, and I'll do the stakeholder management. I can take care of that. I can take care of that. That's what you should be doing. That's the best way to do it.
Okay, so it's good if you're a leader and your team is smarter than you, you're on the right track.
Because at the end of the day, Sam, the objective, this is what most leaders don't know. Your sole goal as a leader is to create more leaders.
Yeah. Oh, there was a quote, I'd rather be a king or a maker of kings.
Yeah. And so how do you create more leaders? Well, you've got to develop them. Because leadership is not something you're born with. I mean, you and I have been to enough maternity hospitals and I've never seen anybody go, oh my God, they just had a leader, right? Right? It's a skill. So as you're a leader, develop better leaders, and you've got to hire the best ones that have got the best chance of doing that.
Yeah.
That's what we call hypos. That's a high potential as opposed to high performance. It's the difference between those two things.
Got it. I'm learning lots today. I'm sure these guys are taking notes. Another question that came through, thank you for that, was around, obviously millennials operate slightly differently to your Gen Zs and your Gen Xs and baby boomers. So the question was, as a leader, how do you get the most out of that millennial market as opposed to the way that they did in the past with other generations? It worked really well, but now they're struggling to be able to maximise the millennials' potential.
So here's the problem. The problem with that question, it's like 5 years old.
Okay.
And the real issue now, and it's a great question, because actually millennials are 40. Millennials are our leaders. Millennials are already leading. The real challenge isn't actually how you manage millennials. It's actually how millennials manage the other generations. Right? So because millennials is 1980, roughly, 1980 to about 1995.
Yeah.
They're like 38, 39, 40. They are our leaders. Nick Molnar, who runs Afterpay, is a millennial. I mean, it's a fairly big business he's running, really high profile. He's a millennial. Right? There are many millennials like Nick who are running big businesses. And in fact, the challenge for them is, like I said, it's actually not so much how do you get the best out of Nick, it's how's Nick going to get the best out of his leaders, because his board, his stakeholders, most of them are older than he is. And so it actually goes both ways.
Okay.
But you are right. So we talk a little bit about that. Millennials are different. They're closer to Gen Z than any other one, but Gen Z are different, and they're very different. But millennials are different because they've got a few things they've been brought up with. One is an acronym for dealing with millennials called SEEN. Have you heard that before?
No.
But SEEN is for S is for speed. They want stuff fast, right?
Taking notes, guys.
Okay. You've got SEEN in there. You've got next one is kind of like C, right? So they're very curious, like that. You've got E. They want to be entertained, right? And so it's better be exciting and fun to be with.
Yeah.
N. They want to kind of be nurtured. Right? Which is around the whole kindness thing and nurturing, and that's good coaching, empathy, like that. And the last one is that E, there's a sense of entitlement. Now, I think that last one is the one that gets misread. It's not about entitlement, like I deserve everything. They're actually deserving, what they're saying is in millennials, and Gen Z are even worse with calling this out, they're saying, kind of just want to be treated well, kind of want kindness, kind of want coaching. I don't actually think that's any different than a boomer or an X. It's just the boomers next to, well, it's just work, you just get on with it. Right. And the leaders are going, kind of no, kind of wouldn't mind being treated. So I think the boomers next is going, yeah, go for it, girlfriend, because that's exactly what I wanted. I just didn't want to say anything.
Okay, this is such a
I don't think the millennials are actually that different to work with. The only difference is that they have brought up on the speed. The other C is convenience, right? So they're used to getting stuff fast. I'm used to finding on the web. I want to be coached. I want to learn about that. So if you're managing them, you've got to do that. And so I find that a lot of boomer and X leaders don't recognise that. Oh, so demanding, what, that they want to be coached and be inspired? Yeah, that, right? But if I ask millennials, a lot of millennials I find their leaders not very inspiring. That's a very big trend I'm finding. I don't find my leader inspiring. And the leaders go, well, what do I do? I'm a big speaker.
So this is where the question came from.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. You just need to communicate. You need to be authentic. You need to be vulnerable and say, hey, this is a shit time right now. This is going through tough times. It's going to be hard for all of us. That's all anybody wants to hear. Don't give me the smoke screen, and don't give me the stuff that's being sanitised through corporate affairs when I know it's bullshit. That's what millennials are saying.
See, that's a really good point, and I've noticed like my whole team of millennials, and we've been doing one-on-one personal branding sessions with them, and a lot of the common themes that are coming out are they want to feel part of something and to be nurtured and grown, and on reflection, I'm like, well, that's obviously how I want to be treated as well. So that's that feedback's enabled me to go, I want to spend more time in this area, and more time spent in that area. They're all growing without me having to. Well, I'm leading, but they're leading and learning themselves as well.
So that's part of that original thing. And look, Kouzes and Posner wrote the great book, The Leadership Challenge. It's in its 15th edition. The number one leadership principle is one, model the way, right? Do that, and you do that well. The second one, though, is create an inspired vision. Not create your own inspired vision, create an inspired vision that everyone's bought into. That's the second part. Well, it's book's been around kind of like 20 years. It's not new, it's just that no one read it.
Something called Google as well,
Someone needs to look at that, because that's actually what that means. So you need to create an inspired vision, you need to be inspiring yourself. You need to know, you need to have some idea where you're going. It's like you and I were talking about personal brand earlier. If you're a leader of any business or any division or any team, you need to go, this is where we're going. If you're doing a yacht race here and you're leading a 10 people, I mean, that rest of the crew want to know, well, what's the direction, big fella? Are we going that way or that way? And what are we aiming for? That's leadership. If you're a parent, my God, you're leading all the time.
Agree. We're always leading. We're always in the spotlight on some level, aren't we?
Yes, absolutely.
Whether it's on social or not.
It's like, get used to it.
In terms of, you're coaching a lot of leaders at the moment and emerging teams, emerging leadership teams. What are some of the common, factors that you're seeing in terms of gaps in the market for them? So I suppose I better reframe my question. What are some of the common things that you see they're doing badly that they could turn around very quickly? Is there a few standouts there?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. There's usually, and there's one. The one standout is communication.
Okay.
I think Harvard's just done a survey, and it's like 86% of senior executives and executives through globally have said that lack of communication and lack of collaboration, and they're linked, is causing major workplace stress, right, and causing businesses not to thrive.
Kind of makes sense. Like, it's like in your relationship with your partner or your kids. You're not communicating. They're picking one thing, you're picking the other. There's an expectation that's, everyone's adding different meanings to what you're saying.
That's the big one. That's the one that's there at the moment. And the assumption is a great quote, which is I think George Bernard Shaw made. He said the thing about communication is the illusion that it actually happened, right? Is that it didn't actually happen. People haven't. There's assumptions made that everyone gets it.
Got it.
Well, leaders make a decision up here, and they're all on this LT team, right? So we're all on board. They've been discussing it and workshopping and doing offsites at lovely places, and they've got it, right? And they come along and go, "Here guys, this is what we're doing." And people go, "What? We're doing that?" And these guys are going, "Don't you get it?" Yeah, but they forgot that they just spent 3-6 months, 10 meetings, ironing it out. You've got to take the team in and say, "Hey, this is the process," or actually bring them in earlier so they understand it. And you've got to communicate. And Jamie Dimon, who's been the long-term CEO of JP Morgan, said that sometimes I feel like a broken record. But every LT I go to, every office I go to, every office of JP Morgan I go to, I say the same stuff. And you've got to keep the same stuff. So everyone hears about it. They go, "Oh, did you hear Jamie?" I heard Jamie.
Yeah,
what Jamie said that. Because as soon as Jamie says something different, they go, "Oh, hang on, what's going on?" I heard Jamie said that, Jamie said that. He changed that word or he changed that line. I just go, bam, this is the theme, this is what we're sticking to. Consistency.
Gives confidence and sanity.
I think people understand doing that. So the best leaders I've found that do that well, and what I say Sam, the best leaders do is they're intentional about their communication. They don't leave it to chance. So they're intentional about getting it right and being consistent with it. It's not just that, we put it out on, we put it up on Trello. Did not read it on Slack.
It's
on Slack. Did not read it. It's like, no. And I have this great.
We put a few emojis around
it. I have this
great
sound, So if I go to you, if I just say these lines, you'll know who I am. I have a dream. Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Right. What Martin Luther King didn't say, follow that up with was, I have a dream. I got a 40-page PowerPoint deck and it's up on Trello. Have a look. See you go. Right? He didn't do that. He moved people.
Yeah.
Because he had this. Not only did he do that, but he uses physiology and tone and everything else. So you've got to do that. And he's just as powerful as video as he was live. Imagine how powerful he would have been in today's era. Unbelievable.
Incredible.
Yeah, so comms is number one, the big one.
And I suppose then that comes down to self-awareness and spending a lot more time into personal development to be the best leader, ensuring that you're communicating to the right people at the right times, at the right tone, as you've said, and ensuring everyone...
Well, there's another actual problem with this, is that a lot of people don't get taught how to be a leader.
Yeah, that's a good
So, I was with my son's schools, which you know well, and I was talking to the principal, and when they had the opening of the kids, all the kids who were prefects or were going to become school leaders. It was January, right? So January started the year. And we were chatting, and I said to him, these guys, aren't they fantastic? They've earned the right to lead. And he said to me, that's brilliant. And he said, it's brilliant. He said, you know what, they're not leaders yet, are they? He said, they're in leadership positions, they have earned the right to be leaders.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the year, when you see those young men or the girls who are in those positions, my God, they have changed, they've developed, they are leaders. They've gone through 12 months of what it means to be a leader. So we've got to understand that leadership is a skill. We need to have people trained in leadership.
Yeah.
And the reason, I think anyway, it's kind of my opinion, is that a lot of baby boomers struggle a little bit with leadership, is that no one actually taught them.
Okay.
It's not all their fault. And if you actually go back and look at books, I know you're an avid reader, and you look back at books that maybe 25 years ago, 30 years ago, which is a generation, there actually were very few leadership books. They were all management books.
Isn't that interesting?
If you go back and look at Gary Hamill's books, all management by this, management by execution, management by KPI, management. It was only literally about 25 years ago that people like John Maxwell started writing things on leadership principles and leadership, because there's a big difference. There's leadership and management. You've got to do both. You've got to have both. But everyone's focused on the management, the operations. No one's really focused on the vision. And so if you miss that generation, so this is why the millennials are in such a beautiful, because you can go to leadership training now.
Yeah.
You should try that 30 years ago. Golden era.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a lot better type of leader and scale of leader through millennials, through Gen Zs, and probably the X's as well.
Yeah, the future's exciting. It's good to understand, obviously the way that the baby boomers thought, because that's the way they were told to think.
Correct.
And that's the information they took aboard. Yeah, certainly will.
No way the highway.
Is that what's in your book, Rob?
Yeah.
Let's bring it along to it's all possible.
Yeah, so pretty much a lot of what I've said today is in here, in different parts of the of the book, just those kind of reinforcing that. Yeah.
I read that, and there was so much I took from it, not just only in terms of, I suppose, a leader and running my own business, but actually in life and relationships in life, really simple formulas that get you to actually reflect back on, that sometimes you're just moving so quickly throughout life that you forget to press pause and go, hang on a minute, that's common sense, but common sense isn't that common sometimes. So thank goodness we've got the book.
Yeah.
After 15 years and you're running your own company, what did you have a light bulb moment one day and go, right, I'm going to write a book, or has this been planned over time based on the learnings that you've had?
On this book? Yeah, so this is the fourth. So this one is about sort of 5 years in the making, and there's a video I did on why I wrote this book, and the opening is very true, which is I wrote it because I had so many people, when I was doing business workshops, and a lot of the ones where you first saw me at, a lot of the big interest from people was mindset and attitude. It was like, how do I get my attitude and mindset right? When I do a little part of that, that's the bit they wanted to talk about. So I did a little bit of attitude and mindset, and then we're kind of into business stuff, marketing, sales, business growth. But that's the bit that people kept coming back. That's the bit, how can I get my team motivated? How can I get myself motivated? Where do I get the energy from? So as I kind of went more and more into that, and we've had rapid change and more change. And so some people can change, some don't, unfortunately. Some people don't cope with it at all, and it can be tragic. So I felt that I had this model in here, which is the 4-part model that's in the system. I felt, well, I just got to do it. I just got to get it done. So I've got to get it done now. I've got to get it done for business owners, business leaders, and a leader and a millennial, and even for the person, I had someone the other day who's like just finished uni, and she's like, I don't know which career I'm going to go for, and she's like, I'm really enjoying this because it's helping me get some clarity.
And I think when I was reading it, so much so that I said to Matt, our intern, I was like, go get the book off Rob and absorb it. I'm keen to hear, how that's, made you think a little bit differently in terms of what you're doing at Think Tank and actually in life as a whole. Guys, I strongly recommend reading this book. Rob, what are some of, I suppose, the 3 key takeouts that people would expect to get after reading this?
I think from reading this book, you'll get inspired that you can do it.
Yeah.
You'll get inspired that you're enough. You're okay. You can do what you want to go and do. And the steps in there around my champion mindset, which is around chunking it down, having a go. There's a whole acronym around that. And then you'll get a pathway, right? So the number one is attitude and mindset, but second is your vision. What is your vision? What is the strategy to execute on the vision? And then what actions are you going to take? And the actions is really interesting because people get there and go, I know I've got to take action, I don't know what.
Yeah.
And so I've got 3 action sections, which is what knowledge do I need, what processes do I need to get better at, or habits, and what skills do I need? So it's a book, it's a book that you literally can pick up at any time and you will get something out of it. It's not like Twilight, you don't have to read it from start to finish. Oh my God.
You could a couple of times.
It's like Kirsten, right? You don't have to do that, right? You just pick it up any place. And also you might be really good at, I've got my vision, I've got my strategy, I'm struggling on action. Or I'm into action, but my God, I've blindsided, I haven't got a process that's repeatable. So it's one of those things that you don't have to read all parts. You might go, yep, good. That's the 2 I need to focus on. That's how I've written it.
That's what I loved about it as well, because so many people will listen to podcasts and they'll be inspired by the Gary V's, the Martin Moores, anyone really that's sharing information and good information, but a lot of them don't take action, and that's what I liked about the book. It actually prompts you to go away and do something, and as you said, it's like you can pick it up and put it down, go away, take action, come back, reflect again. And I think that's really the key to momentum and progression, isn't it? Actually going away and executing. You have all the knowledge in the world.
And so Fiore, who's got a testimonial in the book and her own wonderful story, she said, I'm reading it for the second time, and it's good because she said I went through it and there's extra tips, and I was with a guy on a call this morning from the US. And he's quoting parts to me in the book, and when you've written the book, you can't try to remember which part he was at, but he's literally quoting parts that really resonated with him. And he said he's gone back, and he's given her one part, he got his wife to read one part of it around just being together, there's a whole lot of stuff on love and happiness. And then he's gone back to it again, and they're executing on part of it. That's fantastic. I love to hear those stories.
God, I can see you just light up when you're talking about it.
You don't know that's going to happen. You write it from what you think the best you can do. And I've just had so many beautiful things written. People really have reached out and really, been vulnerable themselves to share. And I was like, my God, it's like,
what a feeling.
What part? I don't know which part's going to work for you, whatever part. That's fantastic. I'm happy to do it.
Oh, we're leaving your legacy, Rob. That's for sure. And we'll have at the bottom of the screen, Natalia, hopefully, where people can get the book from, because there's a podcast and there's so many other ways that you can access this. My very last question, Rob Hartnett,
yes,
is, what does happiness mean to you?
God, it means so much. I mean, you saw it a second ago. So happiness means, I think happiness is when you're really fulfilled, when you're doing something that you love and you're giving to others and you're in flow. So I think it's a really interesting question. It's when you're in flow, when you're totally immersed in something that and it could be on the open road with a motorcycle going way over the speed limit. Not that I ever do that, but that could be an example. It could be when you're cycling in a group and you're just so in flow, that's so fast and it's taking all your concentration. It could be on stage doing a presentation, exciting and inspiring people. It could be writing, that you get your buzz from just writing and you're in flow from doing that. It's when the time just goes by and you go, oh my God, where did that happen? I'm really hungry because it's like 6 hours later. Yeah. It's that's I think you're in that state of flow, and that's kind of what happiness is.
I love what you've shared there, because I think a lot of people are chasing it, or, you know, more money, get a property, right, like very materialistic, whereas many people are crying in their Ferraris, right? And most of the wealthiest people out there, not all of them, but there's a few that I know are probably one of the most unhappy people I know.
They can be like that, and I think there's a quote in the book on that, and so it's by a doctor, a GP, and one of his quotes is, he talks about happiness, and he actually says happiness is actually feeling good a good deal of the time. You cannot be up all the time. It's impossible. We have our roller coaster and things go up and down, but it's actually generally 80% of the time I'm in a pretty good mood. That's kind of what, as a GP, he would define as being happy. It isn't that pursuit of like, oh my God, all these big things, success and the imagery and what sometimes, you know, people say social media shows us, but it's just imagery, right? It's what we take back from that that's there. Yeah. I mean, crying in a Ferrari, but it's better than a Skoda from 1967, right, isn't it? But we all take back from different things, and so whatever you're in flow with, I think.
Yeah, no, I love that, and it's something I think we all need to take on board and reflect that, as Rob said, you can't be happy all the time, but it's the majority of the time that you are, and it's what you love doing. And your book, certainly, It's All Possible, gives you that, I suppose, that prompt to go, you know what, give it a red hot shot. Yeah. And since I met you back in 2008, I've given it a red hot shot. I'm wrapped with the team I've got. I've never been more happy than ever in terms of where I'm at right now. And that's why I wanted to get you on with the Sit With Sam today, because thank you so much.
All right.
Okay. Go for a hug. And guys, definitely check out It's All Possible as well. It's incredible, especially if you're just feeling a little bit of limbo and you just need a bit of a kick up the bum to take some action.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rob.
No worries, Sam. Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed that podcast with Sam and myself having a great chat. You can actually see the video of that and see us in action. Just hashtag Sit With Sam or search Sit With Sam on just Google that, or you can go to Sam Mutimer's YouTube channel and see us in action.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.